So I'm making this video, this intro video right here, and literally my whole house just lost power. But I'm still making this video because my phone's got battery, and that's all I need. I got some sunlight for some lighting. Oh, that was right. That was a bad idea. But yeah, we're just going for it. That's how we do here at Seed of Faith. Because let me tell you, this is the ongoing theme. This episode, which I love, I think it's great. I think you guys are gonna love this episode too. But you're gonna notice real quick that I don't have my third camera angle. I don't have that panoramic shot that I like to use, you know, to show whatever. But the point is I don't have it. Why? Because after we were done recording episode 3, I looked at camera 3 and it was dead. Like dead. We're gonna have a funeral for it. It was really sad. The whole family's coming. In real life though, we don't have this camera anymore, but we were able to do the 2 shots, and I will continue to make episodes. If I only have 2 shots, that's what I'm gonna do. If I don't have electricity in my house right now, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna keep going. Whatever. If God wants us to work, it's gonna work. And that's how I feel. That's how God works in my life, and that's how I see him working in this podcast and in this ministry. All right, that being said, I still think you're gonna like the episode for sure. It's just, I'm still giving you good quality. I'm still going all out as much as I can do to give you guys a good podcast. It's just, I am struggling with this point of like where I wanna ask for help, but I don't wanna ask for help because of my pride. True story though. And yeah, if you guys are liking what we're doing here, if you like this podcast, if you think that this is something you wanna be a part of, I would appreciate help with getting a new camera, because honestly, I can't afford it right now. I know it looks like I have a lot of stuff and it looks like I'm well off. Please don't judge by appearances. Please don't judge me by my appearances. Speaking of appearances, this is also my pride. In this episode, you are going to notice that my hair is sticking up in the back because I got a haircut. Haircut. He needed a haircut and he got one. I'm also weird, so please ignore the stance. Or don't ignore it. He's still going. Because he likes it. Okay, I'm out of breath a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm gonna breathe. It's a little hot in here because my air conditioning's not on because the power went off, so it's getting a little muggy in here. I'd love, again, like I don't usually ask for help, like financial help, but that camera would be helpful. Again, I'm gonna keep moving even if I don't get it. We're still gonna make episodes. I just wanna give you guys the best product that I can get. I really care about providing you all with really good content. Okay, so, yeah. Sorry for how weird this intro is. I don't know. No, you guys know. This is who I am. There ain't no hiding it. Let's stop being weird and let's start the episode. All right, everybody, here we are. It is finally happening again. We're keeping it organic here at Seed of Faith. So I do have a cat. She will be joining us today. But she is not the guest. My guest is actually, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Ashley Shaw.
Hello. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Tell us who you are a little bit. Without doxing yourself. You don't have to like give out all your personal info, but just tell us a little bit who you are, and then I'll start asking you some questions so people know who you are.
Cool. So I've been tattooing just strictly full time for about 7 years now. It's been interesting, you know, being my own boss for, 7 years, trying to find balance between, just life in general.
So where are you at? Like you live?
I live in Peru. I work in my house, so it's all word of mouth. I've been living in Peru for 3 years.
Okay.
Before that, I've moved around so many times, like it's hard to count. I've lived all over the place. But for the past 3 years, this is the first time in my life where I've actually felt grounded, had a home that feels like an actual home.
Yeah.
I live with my sister. I have 2 cats. My life is very simple. I like it that way.
Well, I'm glad you got cats. So
yeah, I'm a cat person.
When my cat does cat antics during this, which I'm almost positive is going to happen.
Yeah.
You just know it's cat life.
That's cool.
I'm sorry, ahead of time.
Don't be. We love cats.
Well, so I want to say, I was looking for someone to do episode 3, and it's funny because I had a post all written out about how I was looking for a tattoo Christian artist. I wanted to get a Christian tattoo artist on the show.
Cool,
I have other people like, I want to get a Christian lawyer and I want to get a Christian.
Cool,
I have like little things where I'm doing it, and I never posted it because I had it all typed up. I do a lot of that, by the way. I'm a little OCD, so insight.
Me too.
Insight.
Me too. We'll get along great. Like, it's
right.
bad.
So I don't know what it was. I think I saw some of your artwork on Instagram. I didn't know you were a Christian artist, though. I was just like looking at your art. I liked it. I was following you. And then you reached out like sometime during, I don't know, whatever, social media, and you asked me some questions, and they were faith-based questions.
Yes.
And I was like, did I just find my Christian tattoo artist? Did I just, let's see what's going on here. And we started to have some conversations, and I was like, I think so. I think this would be, I'd love to get someone on the podcast. And let me tell you why. Why do I want a Christian artist on the podcast, a Christian tattoo artist? Not because I'm trying to be intentionally inflammatory, where I want to pick this controversial thing. And you would recognize it as controversial, right?
It definitely is.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. I just wanted to make sure because I'm calling it controversial, and I didn't want you to be like, what do you mean? No. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely like a touchy subject
amongst Christians, right?
100%.
And I was in a ministry called The Reasons for Jesus several years ago, and it was run by Stephen Bancars. He's an awesome guy. He came from the New Age movement. He was like a New Age guru. Yeah. And,
Doreen Virtue, too. I love her.
Him and Doreen Virtue, I met Doreen through Stephen.
Really?
Yeah,
cool.
for real.
She's
so
she one of my
she came in. All right. We're like name dropping up here. I'm not trying to name drop, I promise.
Hi, Doreen.
Hi, Doreen. Hi, Stephen. But I was in a ministry with them. Cool. And when Stephen flew out here, I picked him up. And we did a video here. We recorded a video together where we talked about tattoos specifically for his ministry. And it was really great. We went over all these things about are tattoos a sin? And then the answer, we inevitably come up with is no. Can a tattoo be a sin? The answer we came up with is yes. Yeah. And we gave different points of like why we would say this is what can make it a sin. This is what can make it a sin. And we went through the different points. So even then, that was controversial, and that was several years ago. I do think society and culture is changing a little bit, so you're seeing more that it's accepted. Like it's not even like really a thing in all churches, but there's still a stigma. I still to this day will get. It doesn't matter if I get a picture. It doesn't matter if it's like a cross, a Jesus, a Bible, whatever. Like people are like, I don't know, temple, and they go into all the things. Now you as a Christian
like
tattoo
Leviticus,
artist,
it says like
thou shalt not mark the body.
Yeah. I think that's like the only thing in the Bible that talks about it.
It's and there's context to it, and it's Levitical law, and it says thou shalt not mark thy body out of mourning for the dead, and you have to go into one Levitical law. Do we keep the law today? Do we, what about my shirt? It's half polyester, half cotton.
Yeah, you can't mix the two.
Oh, snap. And so there's all these really cool apologetic arguments. And if you haven't looked those up, the apologetics is like a defense of your faith and the things that you believe. If you haven't looked up the apologetics for tattoos and are they a sin, I would definitely do it. There's lots of sites out there. And they're going to approach it right when they're approaching it when it's a matter of the heart. And they're not just being like, thou shalt not mark the body, it's a sin. Because then I can tell you right off the bat, it's out of context. But if they're approaching it with about, okay, this is a heart issue. This has to do with the person's heart, intentions, all of that. That's where you're probably going to get some good information. Yeah. But that being said, even to this day, like I just got some tattoos I just got some tattoos like 2 days ago.
Nice.
So I got this little one for my daughter. She drew it and this.
Oh, that's amazing.
She drew a little lion
I'm
when
obsessed.
she was playing a game.
That's great.
And I was like, I'm gonna get that tattooed, like jokingly, but then I
yeah.
really did it, and so we were laughing about it. Definitely, I was giggling the whole time. But so I got these tattoos. And I'll shout out to my tattoo artist too, by the way, Sierra. Shout out. I did say I would say something. I want to talk about her in a little bit with you because I want to share something with you. But
yeah,
it doesn't matter like that I'm getting these or anything like that. There's still like backlash where people of course judging happens, but that's not even really where I'm talking about. It's where they actually feel like they need to come up and like say something to you.
Yeah, like try to convict you or make you feel a certain type of way.
You're an artist though, so I can't imagine I imagine it's times two, right? At least because if I'm just getting the tattoo, that's one thing. Yeah. If you're given the tattoos, what kind of backlash have you gotten because of that?
There's definitely been times where I've posted on my Instagram that like I didn't want to do anything that had to do with tarot cards or I'd like to stay away from anything dark, and
so you made like a public
announcement I
about
did
that.
And
really?
like I lost followers like immediately, and then like was getting like messages that were just like hate messages from like a couple people that like made
so this came
fake
from the
Instagrams.
World first.
Yeah, like they would like make a fake Instagram and then like message me and say like well, I did make a post saying like how we should protect our children with the LGBT community, and like the backlash I got from that was really scary actually and sad. And I mean, I'm kind of like sad that they made a fake Instagram because like now I don't like know who it is and we can't like chat, but whatever, like that's fine.
You're saying the attacks initially came because because we haven't really gotten into your testimony yet.
Yeah.
But when you started off tattooing, it wasn't like you started off as a Christian tattoo artist. You started off as just a tattoo artist.
I was like a Christian that fell off.
Okay. Like a backsliding Christian,
exactly.
You would say? Okay.
And like that happened so many times, and every time I would come back to the Lord, like I'd be closer and closer, and like He'd reveal Himself more and more with like every conviction.
So you're coming back, you're going through that little roller coaster ride with Him, and wrestling with Him, and getting to know Him more,
and starting to tattoo, and like I had my grandpa's a pastor, and
but there's a point where you started to say, I want to change the art I'm doing. Even you're starting to say, I need to change the art I'm doing because of who I'm becoming needs to reflect also the art that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you probably were feeling convicted a little bit about some of the artwork?
Yeah. Like I have an example. My friend, she's my friend now, but when she first messaged me, she wanted something like pretty like demonic. There's like some devil horns, like whatever, and we just didn't end up doing it. Like I didn't tell her no. We just didn't message back and forth after that. We just kind of like left it at that, And then a year later, she gets saved, comes back, gets like an angel tattooed on her. So that was really cool to see that happen,
So like when you were first starting off, because you're saying you're kind of like a backslidden Christian.
Yeah.
You're because I want to get to this, and then I think we're going to time jump back a little bit.
Cool.
Because I want to point out, somewhere along the line, there was a transition where you're kind of like in the world a little bit. You're saying you're a Christian, but you're in the world. You're a prodigal daughter.
Yeah.
And you're also being convicted, which is a good sign. That's a really good sign.
For sure.
you're having convictions, which means you haven't totally shut yourself off.
Yeah.
And the hate you're getting at first when you're doing this transition towards every time you try to better yourself or whatever, like when you're trying to get closer to God, you say, I'm going to stay away from bad imagery or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you get hate from the world. So much people are creating fake Instagrams, blah, blah, blah. Like you're getting hate from the world.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, the world is the one that, there'll always be people that maybe the world's always going to hate, you know, your faith and you're taking a stand. But somewhere along the lines, the persecution starts coming from Christians. Yeah. And then it's all of a sudden
that's the worst. And like the most hate I've ever gotten was from somebody I met in church.
Well,
she just
that's
wouldn't stop and wouldn't stop. I love her, and we're cool. You know, we're cool. But man, there was like a time there where other Christians heard about it and would like message me and be like, "Hey, I heard about this. I'm really sorry. Like, we love you. Keep doing it."
Did it happen in church? Whatever happened? Or just
Bible study.
At Bible study.
And then proceeded to like continue to message me for hours after. I was like, okay, we're gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And then that was just like not a thing, you know. And then I had to like, it was a battle with myself really to try to be at peace with like agreeing to disagree and like, well, I just like was like I need to prove to her that like I'm not a bad person, you know.
Yeah, well, you got one person making a fake Instagram, but you got another person later in life who's following you up so much that it feels like you're like, hey, chill. Like you're messaging, this is too much. Yeah. And that's the same thing, but it's interesting that that's my point. That's the point. Like where I want this to be something that Christians, when they're watching this, when they're seeing this, that they realize that it's not their desire to, because I know that they probably think they're doing good, right? I'm sure that they have good intentions. Yeah,
like they're trying to make me feel bad so that I can change, and that's not really how it works.
Not with everybody, right? For some people it works.
That's how it worked for her.
Yeah, maybe because
that's how it worked for her. And then I was like, okay, like I see that word for you, but that's not
okay. So guilt.
How I work.
Yeah. So for some reason, for some people, getting disciplined, you know, like smacked on the hand or whatever it is what they need. Yeah. To grow closer to God or whatever. Yeah. Like for me, that's not the case, because for me, it's like I expected wrath. I've always expected wrath. Yeah. I expect if I do something wrong that I'm going to get punished. Yeah. But God has done something with me that's very unique, because I can't fool God. I can't fake it. You can't fake your intentions with God. So what he's done with me is when I've done something wrong and I'm totally expecting to get the wrath of God, right? I'm expecting to get punishment, discipline, or whatever it is that I deserve, because I'm sure I deserve it. Yeah. Instead, he blesses me. He's good to me, and that actually makes it even. It makes me like I don't like that starts to break me, right? Because I'm kind of hard. Yeah. He makes me cry. He makes me. I don't deserve it, right? And I'm like, why are you being good to me when I don't deserve it? Like, so that works for me. And so while someone might say, oh, I'm going to use like guilt, like I'm going to make him feel guilt. Well, I'm ready for guilt. I'm ready for you to make me feel guilty. I'm not ready for you to start loving me when I feel guilty. I'm not ready for, like, if I'm expecting you to be like, you shouldn't have done that, for you to be like, you know what, I love you. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. And so that's exactly right. Christians will take whatever trauma or whatever that they've come from in their past. It's not always trauma, but whatever parenting or whatever it is, they bring it to their and I'm guilty of this too, by the way. Let me be very clear. I'm guilty of this. Like I bring my own version experiences to the person, and then we project that, and then so we have these good intentions, but we can be so hurtful and damaging, and we don't even see it. And just as damaging as the world. So when the world was doing it, oh, you're taking a stand for God. Hey, I want to do positive things. People are dogging you. It's easy to see that they're in the wrong. Yeah. You know. But then when you get into the religious community, you got people who think they're right. You know what I mean? It's not obvious. It's not always obvious. Maybe it sounded like in the situation that you were in, people in the church could recognize that it was obvious because they were calling and apologizing. You said that they were like, I'm so sorry that happened and stuff. So apparently she was obviously
they heard
wrong.
Through the grapevine, I guess. I don't know.
Well, people were talking. Listen, in the church there is a grapevine.
There's gossip in the church, you know, like and it came back around, you know, and that's okay. And I love everybody involved, so I don't carry any hard feelings. Well, but it's also happened before when I was younger. Like I've almost gotten younger, as in like 7 years ago, I almost got kicked out of a church because I was taking a picture like this with a peace sign.
Really?
Yeah, and I had tattoos back then, and this was a really strict apostolic church, and this older woman came up to me and said that if I throw up another gang sign, that she's gonna kick me out of the church, basically. And I was like, oh my goodness. So like I've kind of dealt with it for a minute, you know. I've learned to just kind of be like, okay, like I know who I am, and I don't need you to understand. God knows, like, and that's all that matters. Yeah.
From my experience, I know what's happened to me. I know what have people said to me. Like you said, someone saying that you're doing this, stop throwing up gang signs. Yeah. It makes you wonder, like,
do I really look like I'm like
you're like
a gangster? Like,
got some hand tattoos, you know, like I guess I'm just a gangster now. I'm just an OG, you know, but it's a little bit like where Prejudice comes in. I've had all kinds of things said to me for sure. I've had good and bad. I've had people come up to me and say, wow, it's so good to see someone with tattoos and look the way that you look on the worship team and stuff like that. So they felt more included.
Yeah, you can reach a different crowd.
Right.
You can reach people.
Them in the audience was looking up and they saw someone who looked like me and they're like, oh, okay. It's okay. You know, like it's not, it's okay. I can be here. If they'll let that guy in here, they'll let me in. So it's all good. So, and I'm all for that. And I've had people literally tell me that. They're like, oh my goodness. It's good to see you. It's good to see that you're up there. It makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah. I've also Are you on the worship team or?
I've been on worship teams for several years.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
In multiple churches, like where I go, I usually end up on the worship team. So.
That's awesome.
But music is my life.
Yes.
So it's been a part of like
Praise God.
My whole bringing, but I don't want to ADD because I can do that very easily.
Same.
So you said earlier your dad was a pastor, and I kind of cut you off. Your grandpa was a pastor.
My grandpa was a pastor, yes.
The start
He still is. He preaches every now and then. And he has a Bible study every Tuesday, which I need to go more. Sorry, Grandpa, I love you.
She's sorry, Grandpa. She loves you. I believe it too.
I love it. My grandpa sings. He preaches. It's the best.
Is he kind of like the one who was your? How did you?
Mentor?
Okay, now we can time jump. Okay. We talked about how dangerous it is for Christians to just kind of go by appearances. That's kind of what I'm going on. That's kind of like what I wanted to point out. I was doing
some of the sweetest people you'll ever meet are covered in tattoos and they look scary. So. You gotta give them a chance, you know.
And some of the sweetest people are giving tattoos as well. So like, guys, give them a chance as well too. Don't be so
come
mean.
Get tattooed in a safe environment.
That's right. So I want because Kat Von D, right?
Yeah. Praise God. That's amazing.
So that's another thing. When I saw Kat Von D, giving her testimony, I saw so many Christians.
It was all, and she'll say that in her interview. Yeah, I think she had an interview with Vaughn. I don't know his name, something Vaughn. But like she was telling him that like all the hate that she got was from Christians, which is so sad. And
that's kind of like what you were saying too. You said I got a lot of hate from the world when I was saying I want to become a Christian. But then all of a sudden, the most hate. You said the worst. Actually, you said the worst.
It wouldn't stop. It just wouldn't stop for days.
Came from Christians.
Yeah. But she felt like she was doing me a favor. That's the thing. Like she was like, I love you, and that's why I'm doing this. Like, and I'm not gonna stop until you feel it. And I was like, it's not gonna happen. Like this. You're not the first one to do this. Like it's been a thing, where people have told me like, don't tattoo, blah blah blah, and I just feel like it's my path. It happened so organically. It wasn't something that I was like, oh, I want to be a tattoo artist. It was just a process of years that just like, it just happened. And I thank God every day for it. So.
Look, if the Bible if the Bible is clear and calls something a sin, I'm all for calling it a sin too.
Yeah, me too.
But there's people that are convinced that getting a tattoo is talked about as getting a sin. And it's just not. And like I said, go watch some apologetic videos and stuff like that, because you have to understand there's so much more going on. I don't want to make this podcast about that, but I easily could, because I put in a lot of work. I put in the time before I ever got a tattoo. Like
I put in the time. I looked, I looked it all up. I made sure that I want to make sure I'm right with God. Now, I know there's people that are still convinced that even me getting a tattoo now, even as a Christian, that think that it's a sin. And so when they tell me that it's a sin, I'm sure they're convinced when they say, I love you, I'm telling you it's a sin because, I don't want you to. And here's where Christians got to get it. Here's where we got to get this, guys. Listen, if it's not a salvational issue, if it doesn't have anything to do with how someone is saved, meaning if I have tattoos or don't have tattoos, that is not going to keep me out of heaven. Period. Simple. If it's a secondary issue, let it go. Let it go.
Amen.
Like, you just gotta. There are some secondary issues worth arguing over. There's some worth debating. There's some worth having good, hard discussions. But some secondary issues, like tattoos, like piercings, I don't know, like a lot of this superficial. They literally said Kat Von D was faking all of it because she continued to wear black. So their assumption is, this isn't even just tattoos now, that when you become a Christian, you have to all of a sudden change your style too. Like when you become a Christian, you have to start to look like what they believe Christians should look like. It's not just
all
tattoos.
dressed the same. Everybody dresses the same.
You gotta wear white
so
now.
You can't be yourself.
I like wearing white. Don't get me wrong. But
I have one white shirt. I'm wearing it today.
Yeah,
we'll see how
but it's
long it'll
covered by
last.
black.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's this weird persona that you have to look a certain way, that you have to adopt. That when you become a Christian, you will never be able to wear black lipstick again. Just give it up. You are now a Christian. Black lipstick.
Okay, but then how are you supposed to reach the people that are wearing black lipstick and dressing all goth? Like, they're not going to want to talk to someone who's dressed like everybody else.
I agree that looking as an ambassador of Christ, right? So let's think of what an ambassador does. If an ambassador goes over to a new country, what are they going to do? They're going to learn the culture. It doesn't mean that they approve of the culture, but they're certainly going to learn the culture. They're certainly going to learn the language. They're going to learn the customs. Oh, we don't shake hands here. We do this. Well, then I'm going to.
And we take our shoes off.
We take our shoes off before we come in, right? There's cultural things. And we wear this and we put this makeup on when we do this. And it's like, okay, so the same idea is there. We're living in the world. We are ambassadors for Christ. When people believe that, like, when you become a Christian and you go to witness to, the motorcycle club or whatever, that you have to come in there looking like suits and ties and stuff like that. And we just know that's not how it works. Why do we think cops, when they're trying to bust people, dress like the people they're trying to bust? Because they accept them, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that I dress to be accepted. I'm not saying I dress and look the way to be accepted. But I would be a fool to not recognize that I am more accepted by certain crowds and certain people because of the way I look. Just as much as I'll get rejected. Just as much as that there's going to be a prejudice because of the way I look, it's also going to open doors. It closes doors and it opens doors. I need the people that wear suits and ties to go and open doors with more people who wear suit and ties. Yeah. And leave the job for us that maybe don't look like suits and ties, but I'll wear me a suit and tie. I like it a lot. But I will also wear I'll also wear whatever. I'm gonna look like whatever I want to look like. Yeah. I can hide my tattoos, but I might if I go to court, but because of those doors I'm talking about, I understand. I'm not a fool, and we can use this God-given personality and our own expression of ourselves, whether that's tattoo, clothes, style, whatever, fashion, I don't know, all of that, to be just a tool. None of it's inherently wrong. It's not inherently wrong to get a tattoo. It's not inherently wrong to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Why you're getting the tattoo matters. It's not inherently wrong to bleach your hair.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's all vanity, then it could be, right?
Exactly.
It
So like I
be.
could, like if I had a knife, like I could either use it to cook you dinner or I could kill you with it. Here's like a prime example. Like I could get tattoos just to be all egotistical, like, oh wow, I'm so beautiful.
Yeah.
Or I just did a tattoo the other day of a skull for my friend Micah, and he got it because it said that the first person that translated the Bible had a skull on his desk while he was translating the Bible as a reminder that life is very short and that we need to stay on track on the narrow path. So like when he looks at his tattoo, he is reminded, okay, look, like
life is
I'm
short.
gonna die one day. Like
Life
let
is
me
short.
make sure that every single day, you know, like I'm using it to glorify God. I'm staying on the narrow path. And so like you see the difference between tattoos
I
right there.
guarantee you
like,
there's a Christian who sees a skull tattoo. Like
yeah.
I wouldn't see a skull tattoo and inherently think it's evil. And I've
Yeah.
told you this before
Yeah.
because I said something to you about tattoos
Yeah.
when I was first getting to know you. And I wouldn't think skulls are inherently evil. But I'm not quick to be like, I want one. But like you telling a story like that, I'm like, yep, it's great. That's totally good. I get it. And that's the thing. We don't even give people the benefit of the doubt. I think someone would see a skull on someone and immediately go, that's the devil.
Yeah.
That's clearly the devil. How could it not be a devil? A skull has to deal with death. And you're just like, yes, it does. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It shows like life is short, and that can be a motivation for him to want to do a lot while he's here. You know, like just like don't be lazy. Make a difference.
Yeah.
Not and that's all fine. Like even this, right? So the little lion tattoo.
Yeah.
That's literally makes me feel so good. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like while I was getting a tattoo, and I've gotten lots of tattoos, I have never laughed as much as I was getting it, and doing it in like a weird way too, like where I'm just like like just like giggling as I'm getting it, because it literally just brings so much joy as I think about my daughter, how I promised her I was gonna get it, how I was gonna surprise her, all of it. Like it was just. And she loves it too, by the way. She loves it.
That's good.
And that to me is like, people don't understand like a tattoo can be something like that. Like that it can have meaning, like whether it's a skull or a lion or whatever. And we tend to express ourselves or give us cognitive reminders. This is a cognitive reminder. I will see this and cognitively remind myself of something good.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying that skull is supposed to be for that guy. So I understand the story of like how tattoos work, how they work in our culture and stuff like that. I think it was made super popular by those tattoo shows like Kat Von D, Miami Ink, all that stuff. Like because every time they were getting a tattoo in the show, people are like, and here's my story. And like they were telling a story, right? And it kind of made the culture of tattoos really about the story. Not everyone. Some people are like, yeah, just get whatever. It's like, I want a Skittle. You know, just like I want all the Skittles
pretty.
there.
I like it.
You know, taste the rainbow because I think it's funny. You know, like weird stuff. Like I know some people do that. But and that even in itself is goofy. But I think that like Christians need to understand it's not about how things look and we're never gonna. And there's an age thing too, by the way. There's just I just think there's an age thing where you're just gonna have to accept from a certain boomer age that there might be some comments like, you just look so beautiful without it. You don't need any tattoos. And it's just thank you. I know their heart. Like, I don't think this is one of those situations where I'm like, I know you're being sweet. Like, this is your way of loving me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's easier to accept somebody's way they're loving you that I don't necessarily like. But then sometimes people need to chill. People need to like, yo, if you're saying this is me loving you and it feels aggressive, the whole situation, like, then this is what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of being a torch. You just gotta
ask yourself, like, what would Jesus do? How would Jesus talk to that person? You know,
right? And
like,
sometimes maybe like being is right, but this person doesn't get it, and maybe that's why I'm saying I'm guilty of this too. Like when I was talking about your tattoos, I said something about like I thought some of the tattoos were on the evil side.
Yeah.
And
I'm not gonna deny that.
But I didn't want.
You know?
But I wasn't. Okay, so when I was doing that, I'm thinking I'm just being honest and stuff like that. And I wanna say the truth, and like because there were some bad ones, right? Where
For sure. I had some phone calls too. I got some phone calls from some people.
All right. Well, it's
okay.
I took some screenshots and I sent them to you.
I was definitely aware. And like times, I've changed. I was like, a lot of those tattoos were farther in the past.
That's true. And you pointed that out too. So like, I just showed you some of the tattoos because you did ask. You were like, which ones? You were like, which ones?
Ask.
I was like, well, I'll be right back. So I screenshotted a couple of them, sent them to you, and I just pointed out what and why.
Yeah.
But then I also realized something as I was doing all of that. I'm like, man, this probably could come. I was like, my intentions are super good right now. But I started to realize this could be like that thing when someone's just coming up and talking about my tattoos or being like, oh, I think this one's good, this one's evil, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I started to realize, even though I believed everything that I was telling you, like, I'm like, bro, this one's evil. And then the 661 was obvious. Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. The 661, I was like, this one's kind of like on the nose. I don't know if I have to say anything.
For sure.
But and then you made a point too, like your comeback is when you started to say you noticed that those ones are older and you had to scroll down a little further on the Instagram to find that. And I'm like, it's true. I did have to scroll down further.
Yeah.
But I also was starting to become very sensitive to like, I don't want her to feel like I am doing that judging thing because I don't need to tell her 666 is evil. She knows. Like, and if she doesn't, she will.
Oh, my mom called me. She's like, "Are you okay? I'm worried. I'm worried."
Hey, your mom loves you, okay? Your mom loves you.
I'm so blessed to have my mother.
It's good to have a mom that's calls you and says,
"Yeah, she probably saved my life. I don't even know how many times."
Praying. And sometimes you're like, you don't need to worry, and then sometimes maybe they're totally justified and they're exactly right.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm not rebuking. Let me just be clear. I'm not rebuking the default position of boomers and so forth, where they come up and say like they try to like do this correction thing. I did it to you, but I also like needed to like, I wanted to be like, whoa, hold on, I don't know where she's at in her walk. I know that she has faith, I know that she is a Christian, but I don't want to, I don't know. Like I'm more sensitive to it now.
I did get like triggered for 1 second.
For a moment, like,
and then I was like, wait, like he has tattoos. I'm sure he's like gone through, what I've been through with the whole being judged in church. And I'm just gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because a lot of texting it's misunderstood because a lot of communication is how you say it, not exactly what you're saying. So like texting can come off.
Oh,
just
for sure.
completely.
Listen, I have gotten myself.
So I was like,
trouble.
okay, you know what? Like, I'm gonna be chill. I'm just gonna.
Well, good. Listen, because the thing that you said is what Christians need to do. You said, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. So just as much as you gave me the benefit of the doubt, that's also what I was doing with you.
Yeah.
I was saying, because I started to catch myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to be careful because this could come across wrong. Because it doesn't matter if it's tattoos or if I'm talking about anything else. Like, I have to be careful, especially when I'm talking to the individual. It could be any sin, LGBTQ, anything. I'm going to talk to the person very real and loving and respectful. And you might not even notice a difference on how I'm talking to you in the sense of like, I'm not treating you different. However, I want to be sensitive to like my faith, and also if I do say I love them, there is a part of me that is very concerned for them. Yeah. And so like I want Christians to learn the thing that I'm learning, like still. Yeah. That I'm still learning. To like we can be fires, we can be blazes, we can go out and tell people like, yo, like chill or do this, or you shouldn't do this, or that's evil, or that's a sin. But at the same time, we need to be very, very conscious of other people's walks. We need to be conscious that we don't know. We need to really start giving people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. And we really cannot go off appearances. Appearances mean nothing. Like happy people unalive themselves all the time. Happy people. People that are like, I never knew. And then just as much as that's real in people and personalities, it could come across exactly the same way when it's like this person, just because they look like they're successful or dressed up doesn't mean they're not drowning in debt, and medically they're dying.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
It's just a vast variety of how much appearances should not matter to Christians. Like, it's literally
Amen.
the thing that Jesus rebuked the heaviest. I don't know if people know that, but like, Jesus had some of the harshest names. The name calling that Jesus did was towards people that were hypocrites and literally would judge the outside of the cup.
Yeah.
You know, how many parables where they would be like, oh, I'm glad I'm not like this person, or they're just judging by, like, he called the Pharisees whitewashed tombs because on the outside they were these beautiful, but they were dead, you know. And so Christians forget how dead they were, you know, when they were living in their sin. Not everybody was raised a Christian. Some people lived a very dead life before finally coming to life and coming to know Jesus. So your grandpa's a pastor. You said you were raised all over, because you said you ended up here, though, only for the past 3 years. There was a California season. Can you kind of just walk us through, like, the part where you're like, okay, this is how I knew who Jesus was. This is how I came to Jesus. And then the part where you're like, I'm giving my life, because you can know him, but there's definitely a part where you're like, okay, God, I'm gonna start trusting you. So can you where would that go?
So I grew up in a home in Morris, Illinois. My dad owned a business and my mom worked for him, and it got really toxic and dark, my childhood. There was alcohol involved, and I grew up in the church. I actually remember being baptized when I was 4 years old. I remember the day. I didn't know what was going on, but, you know, I think it was more for my family than for me. But I remember that moment. I don't have a very good memory, but I remember that moment like it was yesterday. So ever since I was little, I just knew that God existed from my family, just like
your parents
beating it into me. Like you're going to church.
My parents beating it into me. I'm like, okay.
They did.
Do you want to expand on that, or is that work on multiple levels, or is that or is it just like a really strict religious
very
home?
strict, like, religious home. I was told that if I didn't speak in tongues, I wasn't saved, and that, like, I was gonna go to hell. So I just kind of had, like, a fear for the Lord at a very young age. But there was a separation where, like, it was like my parents' God and my grandpa's God, but not mine.
Oh, okay.
And so I started seeing spirits at a young age, and that just kind of was, like, guaranteed, like, God exists. Okay, the spiritual realm exists.
Yeah,
there's
so you were
something
fully
other than, like, what we're
spiritual
experiencing.
realm.
Yeah. But I wasn't, like, I was just kind of like that led into, like, the occult down the line.
So it kind of excited you. It enticed you.
It excited me. I kind of got into, like, making short horror films as a kid, like, really dark things, like, just, they didn't scare me. I was just kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I want to know more about that. With, like, God being on the back burner, not really, like I knew, but I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to, like, get experiences so that I could be like, oh, okay. Like, so that continued to happen. Saw spirit for a while, and then it just stopped one day. I don't really see them anymore. But when I was 19 years old, I just wanted to get as far away from my hometown as I possibly could. So I hopped on a train, went to California with no...
Was this rebellion against...
Yeah, just rebelling against...
Parents,
Yeah. Just, like, wanted to leave, like, and I had no money, so...
This is also a clashing of, like, they're like, you're going to hell probably, and you're like...
Yeah.
Are they like, we're worried for you, honey?
Yeah.
You're living a rebellious lifestyle, and you're like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Yeah,
Okay.
hopped on a train, no money, was told I was going to work on this farm to grow avocados and pomegranates, and it turned out to be like this pot farm.
Yeah. That's California,
Long story
right?
short,
No surprise.
yeah, it was crazy. Long story short, ended up leaving the farm with these French Canadians, and they took me to their friend who, like,
You're
does,
21?
like, yeah, 21.
You're
Yeah,
20-ish.
very young. Yeah,
Yeah.
in my early 20s.
You literally jumped on a train, working on a
Yeah.
farm with strangers.
Now I'm
making
like
friends
just
with more strangers.
in a car with these French Canadians,
Driving
going down
around.
Route 1, going to Big Sur. And they're like, yeah, we're going to my friend Robin's. She's having this party. Okay, cool. And so it was like this huge party. Like all these like Burning Men people were there. They set up this huge stage. This band came, this taco truck. And she starts like dosing everybody on LSD. So we're tripping. And she came over to me and handed me this rabbit. She's like, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice it. And I just lost it. I didn't want to be there anymore. Didn't have a car. Just kind of felt hopeless. Like, it's like in a moment of panic where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like, how did I get here? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the next day I was like, yo, let's leave. So we went to Santa Cruz, became a bartender, became like an alcoholic, was like, taught myself how to surf, and was starting to tattoo during that time.
So this is just
And
like
this
more
is just
and
like
more
me like
backsliding.
getting lost. Yeah,
like you're
just
really
lost.
this is like
and
the
there was like
story of the
Christians like coming
prodigal
up to
son.
me like trying to like spread the gospel, and me
Yeah.
just being like whatever, like
I've heard this
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
You remind me of my parents.
yeah, and
But-
trying to like date people, like trying to like find love in other people more than God, which is
Mhm.
like what I'm learning is probably like one of the worst things like you could do. And so just completely losing myself, trying to find myself in lovers, you know, like met this guy, we moved to Hawaii, he was paying for everything, like I'm surfing, like got it. This tattoo shop was gonna hire me, and I was like, no, like I don't want to work here. Like I was being really picky, like my life was just like, and I was so depressed during this time. Like, how can you be depressed living on an island? Like, everything's paid for. Like, this
It's
guy's
literally
great,
paradise.
whatever. And like something was missing. I was just like, I can't do it anymore. I was like, I gotta go. Like, I'm breaking up with you. Like, I'm going back home.
So hold on. That's a pinnacle moment. That's,
Yeah, that was
listen,
like
that's
that's
a
like
big
crazy.
deal.
I think about that
That's a
sometimes.
big
I'm like,
deal.
oh my gosh. Like,
So this is just like a thought. Like, what kicked that on? Because you're literally
you have everything. Like, he's paying for everything. I live on
and
an
you're
island.
just like, you know what?
This is great.
I'm done.
No.
I'm going home. Like,
Yeah.
is this a God thing right now or just family?
Oh, I got into, so this is what it was. I started getting into the law of attraction. I started reading all
Gotcha.
of
The
Esther Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks, like
Yeah.
read all their books. This dude got me
That's how I
into
knew who
that.
Doreen
And
Virtue was.
yeah, and like
Okay.
this dude got me into that. And so he showed me like a recording of Abraham Hicks, and Esther Hicks is channeling Abraham Hicks. Is like a collection of spirits, which is weird. Like a collection of spirits, come
Yeah.
on. And the first time I heard a recording of Abraham, honestly, I was like, this is weird. I don't like it. Like, my initial thought was, no, this is weird. And then the more I listened to it, the more I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll give it a shot. He was like, no, come on, like, listen to it. So I started getting just, like, really lost in, like, this whole mentality of, like, oh, I can manifest whatever I want. Like, I'm living in Hawaii. This is great. But something was missing. Like, I was depressed in the midst of all of this. And I actually believe that anytime something would go wrong in my life, that like it was my fault, because like I thought like my thoughts created my reality. Like that's like a big like Abraham Hicks saying. It's like your thoughts create your reality. And like I am really sorry for like anybody that I've given her books to. Like, I'm so sorry. Please, like, yeah, don't read them. Like, but
I love that. I love that
yeah.
you were just like repentant. Just like, by the way, I just want to
Like,
say
please,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Like, your heart's awesome for that. That's great.
But yeah, it was really sad to think that anytime something bad happened, like it was all my fault. So it like made me believe, like, if I had an argument with somebody, like I was like, oh, if I'm not like feeling super positive warm
You
thoughts right now,
manifested them.
something negative is about to happen after. So like whatever the issue was, I would just be like, okay, it's fine, whatever, and that like would just lead you deeper and deeper into like the wrong path. So like things looked great on the surface, you know, but I was like so depressed.
So
like,
parents
how can you be
literally-
depressed surfing on an island?
Look
I
at
don't
this.
know. Like, I don't know, but I was. Because
That-
I didn't have God. That's why.
So
That's why.
so you thought, well, my family, I'm going to start there.
Yeah.
And your family was the God-focused people anyway.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like coming back to your family was almost like you're also come back to God moment. Or is that really what this is? Is that really kind of what happened too? Like coming back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it hard?
No.
Like when you
Yeah, it was difficult. I had everything planned out. I had like my flight was planned out perfectly, that once I landed I would like break up with him and then go home, but like the flight like was late, like we had to turn like my plan wasn't working out, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, dude, like I just can't be with you, I'm sorry. And it was difficult, but like, you know, life's hard, and I knew something was wrong, and every time I felt like that, it always led me to isolating myself and being alone, and that's where I would find God again. So I'm really thankful for those moments. It was really difficult, but at the same time, like that feeling, I couldn't shake it. So like, I'm glad that I had the strength to do what I had to do to find God again.
So then you're home now. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
home, you're living probably with the parents for a bit and stuff like that, getting resituated in life. Is this kind of like the new season of, okay, Jesus?
Yeah.
Like where's the, cause I everything you described literally just sounds like a modern version of a retelling, like a Disney version. They'll change the guy to a girl because that's Disney, and then they'll make the whole story the prodigal's daughter, because I literally like you up and left, and it kind of progressively got worse and worse.
Yeah.
And but the difference is instead of eating with swine, which technically you were doing in a way, you weren't like living so hard. You were like, I'm just at the rock bottom, like living on death row. You're like literally living the high life.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder to come home. Like, you know what I'm saying? That makes it harder.
Yeah.
But that's such a powerful testimony too, like to show people like everything we keep saying. It doesn't matter what you think it looks like on the outside.
Yeah.
It literally, you have no idea, and we need to start giving each other the benefit of the doubt. So now you come home.
Yeah.
You're getting closer to God. Probably did you get involved in a church and stuff?
Yeah, I started going to my grandpa's church. I got baptized on Mother's Day, which brought my parents together
So
for
you
the
hadn't been
first
baptized
time.
this whole time?
No,
the
since I
4-year-old
was 4.
The 4-year-old
Since
one,
I was 4, I was like,
More like a
okay, like
dedication.
I want to get baptized. So we had like this huge celebration. It was beautiful.
That's
my
kind
dad
of
and my
the
mom
real- that's
saw
like
each
the
other
real
for the first
comeback.
time since they got divorced in the
Wow.
same place. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I got baptized
How long ago?
in the river Mother's Day 2019.
I feel
Pretty
like
sure.
I feel like if you were
Yeah.
gonna lock it in, like I'm sure you walked with Jesus for a while. First of all, let's be clear.
Oh, through high school. Yeah, like me and Jesus go way back.
Yeah, yeah. I know that you have this.
Yeah, like
history with
it's
him.
like it's a pattern of falling away, like trying to find loving guys. Some men would be like, "Yeah, I love the Lord, like I love God, like let's do this,"
You were
and
lost
then
for
I'd
a
be
while,
like,
though.
"All right,
Yeah.
like let me love you more than I love God," and it's just like not gonna work out. It's just like a pattern. So
I think that's exactly right. You said something interesting. You were like, you said something about like the God of my grandpa, the God of my dad, but he wasn't my
Yeah.
God. That's so interesting because if you look at the story of Jacob, you know, like all throughout the Bible, they'll say like the God of Abraham, the God of
Yeah.
Jacob,
yeah,
and it actually in Scripture, it never he never calls him my God. until after Jacob, I'm referring to. He never calls him my God until after he wrestled with him in the desert. Yeah. And it's interesting, like, because you're kind of saying the same thing. Like, he's the God of my dad. He's the God of me, and I know him. I know of him. But he's not my God yet. I know him. I see him. He shows up here and there. I recognize. Like, I'm like, oh, I recognize that's the God that my dad talks about and stuff like that. And I've recognized he's my God. I don't know. Yeah. And then you fight. He's like, you ain't my God. Like, there's a whole, the wrestling can look like everything you just explained, where you went out and wrestled with him and he was keeping you safe probably way more than you realize. Or like in hindsight, you're like, no, I realize there was some
almost died a couple
where
times.
I could have been trafficked or who knows, like.
Yes, there's actually a moment that could have happened.
I'm
my
not
friend
surprised.
Saved me.
The whole time I'm thinking, like, you're talking hopping trains, working farms. Like, I'm like,
crazy.
Bro, you were kept safe. Like, you have some stories to tell. Don't get me wrong.
For
like,
sure.
You're gonna be like, I got stories to sit around the campfire and talk about. But like, there are also stories about how, like, now when you tell the story, I'm like, listen how God kept me safe. Listen how He literally kept His hand of protection over me as I went out into the world and put myself in some of the most sus situations that somehow I walked out.
I was homeless for a while.
Organs.
I slept in ditches for like a couple days. Like, I've eaten at homeless shelters, and I've also served at them too. So
see,
interesting
you
to
do
like
have like a very like, I've been homeless. I live in Hawaii. I did all that. Like you do have a very eclectic and unique testimony, which just makes it even more interesting.
I can't make this
show.
up. Like, God was there.
Yeah.
You can't make this stuff up. Like, it's just so crazy to see how I survived without money.
When I look at you, I
California.
can't know all that.
Like, how did I survive without money in California? Like, God, that's how.
That's exactly right. So you now you're currently doing tattoos, and you mentioned that one of the things that you cherish that you're doing in your tattoos is specifically creating environments for women to get tattoos and stuff like that. I've been in tattoo environments, and the normal tattoo environment can be pretty harsh. What I mean by that is imagery can be pretty occultic, or who knows. 1, 2, usually the music being played is not family friendly. 3, what was that? Imagery, music. There was something else. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I literally ADD'd. But there's a lot going on. Oh, and the other thing is the privacy thing. Like, I've seen people getting piercings and tattoos, and there's just a total like culture where they just sometimes they're covering, sometimes they don't really care, and I would be super embarrassed, like some of these women or whatever. Just saying modesty wise. And so I know that something that you were saying is you like to create an environment where you are creating that for women specifically too. So I think that's unique. Partially why you're saying you do it out of your home. Like, this is for privacy.
Yeah, like I tried to start a shop in the West Clocks building, and that didn't work out for many reasons, and it kind of led me to just want to create a safe space for females. And that doesn't mean that I won't tattoo males, you know, but most of the time when I do, it's their husband or their brother or I mean, my sister lives at my house, so I'm trying to keep us safe. My cats, like, I just don't want to risk it, so I'm just very I wouldn't say picky, but I'm cautious with who
do you find
I tattoo.
As you're tattooing people that as you get stronger and closer to God and your faith, are you finding more and more opportunities to like use these opportunities as like chances to talk
people
to
will ask me questions like, why did you post that you won't tattoo anything?
And now you have them stuck in
and
your chair.
and I'm like, and then and she's like, oh yeah, like my granny like talks about that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, like your grandma's smart, like listen to your grandma.
That's funny. So that's what I'm curious about too, because I feel like people don't understand the witnessing opportunity that you have that they will never have. Like, there's a lot of personal stuff when people are getting tattoos. Sometimes it's around memories. I want memory thing of my grandma, my dad, my dog, my
memorial.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like this is memory thing. Like it's memorial. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounds right. But it's nostalgic or something. But
memorabilia.
I just think like people don't really understand that you have an opportunity to evangelize and witness, or even just to be kind and to be loving, and that in itself, you're planting seeds and stuff. And and I love that you're saying that they literally asked you about some of your posts. Like that's great. That means like
they'll be like, so why?
Talk about when they come to you, it's even better, right? Like, so why would you? Why not? Like that's great. Like when people ask me why, I'm like, well, let's talk about it. I'll tell you why. I'd love to tell you why. So, okay. All right. That's, I feel like that's important. So I wanted to, cause that's how I treat my tattoo experience. Let me explain. So this goes out to this shout out to my tattoo artist. She's not a Christian, she's not, I mean, and I full well knew that at the time. Like it's not like but I'm there, like exactly like you said. I'm there. I want my tattoos. I'm there in the world. I am meant to be the salt and the light. And she's so cool. She's awesome. And I'm looking around, like she's got skulls hanging up. There's like a moon chart or something. Okay. Like I might as well be a witch's circle. I have no idea. I don't know. Like it's something, and but we talk and we talk about God, and she asks me questions, and I love it. Like, and she had curiosity. Well, and I get multiple tattoos by her. So like Christmas came up. I'm like, okay, God, like I'm bringing her a Bible. I'm like, I know this is kind of cringe, and like, but I'm like, I'm doing it.
I don't think so.
Oh, well, I didn't think so either. But like, there's a part of you that's like,
it's history. It's like
clearly, like,
songs.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's
I can look around
amazing.
her room and be like, this doesn't go with her decor.
Okay.
But I don't care. Like, and so, but I gave her like
what's the worst that's gonna happen?
I don't
Okay.
know. So I gave her the Bible, and I was just like. And it's a great conversation. She lets me, she just lets me talk about Jesus, which is great. Yeah. And, and she's curious. She's genuinely curious too. Like she has real questions, or she's just real good conversations. But, so I was just getting this tattoo, right? Just a couple days ago. Yeah. And I said, like, I'm talking to her, and I'm like, she's like, how's the podcast going? I'm like, I'm actually going to be interviewing a Christian tattoo artist. And she's like, are you cheating on me? And I'm like, I'm like, she's like, I'm like, no. I was like, baby, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Like, no. But she's like, we start to talk. And so I bring up the Bible, and I'm like, thanks for letting me give you the Bible. She's like, I actually just opened that the other day. And I'm like,
hallelujah, that's great.
And I'm like, so, because when I gave it to her, I said, if you're having a bad day, or something's just, I don't know, if you're just feeling overwhelmed or whatever, I was like, and you're just kind of feeling like giving up or whatever, I don't know. Yeah. Just go to the Bible. And I was like, that's God's word. I'm not saying that you should just go over there and open it up and read it, but it's better than not. Yeah. I was like, so just go over there, open it up, and start reading it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell you that it's going to be the answer to all your questions or whatever. Yeah. I was like, but it's God's word. Yeah. I was like, and I don't think if you see God in there that it's going to turn out null and void. And so that's what I told her. Yeah. And so when she was having a day, she thought, like, you know what? I'm going to go get that Bible.
Let's
and like
do
that.
it.
So she told me, she was like, I opened the Bible and I read it. And I'm like, man, that could have literally made my day. Like, so on top of that, I'm getting a lion tattoo. I'm giggling. I'm like, she opened that Bible up. I'm like, people don't understand even this. Here's the next level of it. Yeah. Me going in there getting tattoos. Because there's going to be people like, whatever, like tattoos, blah, 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 the temple, like, whatever thing they want to take out of context, Leviticus, whatever. But the idea is like, I'm witnessing in a way that they will never witness. They're not going to do that. They're not going to be sitting in someone's chair for 3 hours, getting tattooed. So we're going to have 3 hours of conversation. And I told like a roommate of mine, if you become my roommate, because he wasn't my roommate at the time, if you become my roommate, you're going to become a Christian. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. I'm like, no, bro, if you live with me, it's impossible. How can you not become a Christian? Like, I'm going to rub off on you so hard, you will not rub off on me. And I promise you, like, we joke about it still to this day, how he's like, remember when you told me I was going to become a Christian when I moved in with you? And I'm like, and look at you now. You know what I mean? I baptized him and everything.
Oh, that's great.
And I hope to have him on the show. We'll he's definitely someone I'd love to have on this show. But that being said, I just wanted to go into like this whole, instead of us like trying to like Christians like judging appearances, like rebuking Kat Von D, she's literally, there's so many other people that are looking up to her that she's gonna plant seeds. There's more happening. Like, I'm sure that was encouraging even for you as a Christian tattoo artist. Just
I
see
got
Kat.
really excited.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never asked you, but I mean, she's kind of like, I'm not from the tattoo world, but I feel like I'm pretty aware of it. And I know she's, I'm involved. I'm a part of it. Yeah. But I know that when I saw that, I was like, praise God, hallelujah. Yeah. And then I also saw all the attacks. And I saw people saying it's not real. And if she was a real Christian, she wouldn't still be wearing black. And did you hear the songs that she wrote? And why isn't she perfect? And you know what I mean? Like, I think she said a bad word, she said some profanity. I'm like, y'all need to chill. Like, she's coming. There's a sanctification process. This stuff
doesn't
takes time.
happen overnight.
Just like, it
takes time.
It does take time. Like, just like you were
experience.
Even saying, you're not going to do another 666 tattoo because it takes time for everything, like for convictions and stuff like that, and to balance and to take your stuff before God, like, okay, God, this is who I am. I'm doing tattoos. How do I do this in a way that glorifies you? And right now you're doing this stuff like, I'm going to create a safe place. I want to have good conversations. I want to, and who knows what it becomes later. Maybe one day you start slipping on like worship music when, you know what I mean?
That happens.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
See, like, that's so smart. Like, if I was given a tattoo, I'd be like, hold on, let me just turn on.
A lot of my friends are Christians.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of them get tattooed. So
if I go to a tattoo shop, I'm prepared to hear like, F this, F that.
I'm sure.
So wouldn't it be like if people in the world are willing to play that kind of music for people, like I think us as Christians should be willing to like, yo, check out this music, and it don't have to be like. Like, it doesn't have to be.
That was really good.
It could just be like, it could still be like, Jesus. Like, that was
Dude,
terrible.
it could be anything.
Yeah, like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to
whatever mood you're
in.
I
decided against that. That's the caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, Christian music comes in all genres,
But you do play it?
I do, yeah. I love Josh Garrels. He's, like, my favorite.
See, I love that. Like, there's another thing. Like, people don't understand. Even if I was going to school to get my barber's license. And something that I did, man, I had a playlist that whenever I was cutting people's hair and they'd come in here and I'd be cutting people's hair, I'd go to them. I had a playlist set, like, and it was like my hidden Jesus music. It was like lo-fi Christian vibes, like, and like, so like, it's cool. Like, it is like Spirit Lead Me, but it's like, Spirit Lead Me. Like, I'm trying to like vibe a little bit.
That's so great.
But
that's great.
Just another opportunity to witness, another opportunity to. I just want Christians to get more excited when they see us strange looking folks.
Yeah.
Us wild ones. Us carny looking whatever. Because I'm sure. Hold up. Didn't you tell me you were like in a carny? Like, didn't you like join a carnival?
I was traveling with these like Canadian like, they were like a traveling circus. Like,
I knew you told me you did.
Like they were the ones I went to Big Sur with. They were something else.
Okay, so
but I wasn't a carny. No. They could juggle and blow fire and do the things, but
no.
Like,
no.
Elephant,
like, I don't know. Like, I made popcorn. Okay, all right. So I ADD'd super hard on that. I'm
That's
so sorry.
okay. That's okay. That's funny.
I was like, wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure she mentioned she was like in a carnival or something. I was like, where's that in your testimony?
I wish.
And then I was I did tightrope before I did tattooing.
Yeah.
It was just not for me. All right. So I love this conversation. I love that that you're willing to come on the show, and even because honestly, this is not like an easy conversation. You're putting yourself still in a type of spotlight where this might, I hope, definitely open more doors for more conversations with your client. Yeah. But I understand that there could be backlash. I understand that.
Yeah, and like and another thing is like, it's just trusting in God, because I can't help but think like, oh, what if I lose these followers, and then that like messes with my money and so on, so, and that's where the trust comes in.
Can we be vulnerable for a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
I want people to know that you were sharing with me just before you got here. You walked in that like this morning.
Oh yeah,
like,
I was super nervous.
Yeah. I want you to.
I was like, I just felt like there was a lot of
spiritual warfare.
Yeah, like temptations, waking up tired and sick, and like was like super tired before I was coming here. Go. All these thoughts like, you're not holy enough to talk about God. Are you kidding me? Like, but now I'm like, this isn't about me. This isn't about me. So why am I having these thoughts? Yeah, and I'm just like, stop. But you gotta put on your armor. But like, it's not that easy when you're trying to tell your story and you're having these intrusive thoughts that are just like bringing you down. And I'm like, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go even if these thoughts happen. I'm glad you did. Before I walk through the door.
And I think it's great, one, that you recognize that as spiritual warfare, and 3, I hope people watching this understand like it's not easy to just come out and just say like your testimony. Your testimony, like some of it can be dirty and private and raw, and you're like, how much do I share? How much I want people to understand what God did for me. I want people to, because I'm sure if we sat down here, we could really like tie into some of these stories, and it would get super rated R really quick. Yeah, I definitely. Know that. Mine too. I have a filthy, dirty rated R testimony. If they ever made it into a movie, I don't even know if I could watch it. Yeah. Like, as a Christian now, like, could I even watch my own life like as a movie? No, I'd have a hard time justifying that. Yeah. But I'm grateful that you're willing to come on, because I've already seen, like, I'm trying to be careful how I talk about certain things, but I've already seen like how people react to some of the podcasts that I've already done, and like with guests and being public with their faith and stuff like that, and like that it's affected them. Like, people have said things to them, and some of it good, some of it great, but also like hard stuff. Like, and it's funny because I feel like the enemy knows, like, you even wake up and the enemy's like, people are not going to believe this. I'm so glad that I thought of this. Okay. Just as much as I was about to say, you're going through spiritual warfare, the enemy's trying to like discourage you from coming and doing all this. Tell me, when we got here, was I not having like weird static issues? I couldn't figure out anything. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm troubleshooting. I'm trying to like figure out where we're getting these issues. I couldn't do it. I restarted. I didn't work. I did the program. Couldn't work. I was redoing the microphones. Couldn't work. And I'm like, you know what? We didn't pray yet. Yeah. I straight like looked at her. I was like, we didn't pray yet. And I was like, so we're going to pray. And we prayed. And then first try, turn it on. It works. Woo! I'm not even kidding. Like, and I'm not even surprised by that. I'm just like, that's how God do. Yep. Like, and I don't want people to be like, to like try to treat God like a genie, because it's not like that. It's not like I'm like, God, I lost my keys. Where's my keys? Like, but at the same time, if I lose my keys, there's a moment there where I pray. There's a moment there where I'm like, you know what? Because I'm walking, I'm looking, I can't find it. I'm like, God, I just need you. And I pray. And I don't want to like say this for everybody, but I swear, like almost every time when I take a moment to pray, I find my keys, I find my wallet, I find my phone, I find what I pray over that, pray over. It's not just health. God wants us to pray for all these little things. He wants us to pray. Like, you can't find your shoe. Like, you think, oh, I don't want to pray because I can't find my shoe. Nah, dude. God wants you to pray so you can find your shoe. Because
it's recognizing him. It's talking to him. It's real. It's putting your focus on God and knowing
man. And I'm glad you got to see a little miracle. I feel like that was a good start. Tell me that wasn't like a little good start. Because it was a little sad for a moment because you're talking about, oh, I was nervous, the enemy, and then I was having technical issues. I was like, the devil is out to get this podcast. I'm like, he doesn't want this one to happen today. And I was thinking that too. I was like, I know,
me too. I was like, all right, maybe another day. Like,
maybe we'll have to reschedule it. We'll have to try again. And I was like, no, dude, God, if you want this to happen, this has to be you. And I was saying this stuff in my head, and that's when I told you, like, we got to pray. Like, we got to pray together because God was not about to just fix this for me to privately be like, oh, thank you, God, for answering my prayers. He was like, nah, dude, you pray out loud. So when I answer this prayer, she can see it too. Yeah. And so, boom. I wish... Yeah, so that was something that I wish we were recording beforehand, like like behind the scenes, like someone falling like, oh yeah, I should have seen the bloopers, but next time, maybe when we're like bigger, you know, like the podcast is huge, but I guess you guys will just have to take our word for it. There was a miracle. It happened. There was a miracle for this to work, so it was legit. Yep. So if people want to get tattooed by you, or just how can they get a hold of you? Instagram, Facebook? What's your Instagram tag? You could either message me on Instagram or email me, and I don't know if you want to put the information like on. Well, I can put it in the description. Yeah, put it in the description. Yeah. Okay. That'll be easier for people. Go ahead and say it out loud though for people. Yeah, you can go on my Instagram on Lauren Moon. Your camera's right there. Oh, hi. Yeah, just message me. Just DM me on Instagram, Lauren Moon, LORINMOON. I know it's confusing. My name's Ash. I made that name a while ago, so. So then, and that did you give your Instagram? You said your Instagram. Yeah, I just gave it to him. I was kind of like, I was having an ADD moment too. That's okay. You know, I get like that too, so that's totally fine. I'm like, I'm here, but I'm like thinking like, okay, make sure I go through my ending sequence. Yeah. No, but again, thank you so much. Again, totally. Guys, if you guys want to follow her, or if you're interested in getting some tattoos, she does do guys too. Just hit her up, and you guys can talk details and get that figured out. If you guys like what we're doing here at Seed of Faith, if you like podcasts like this, getting to interview people around our community, if you want to be a part of that, support it, you can always like and share the video. That's probably the best way that you can help us. It beats all the algorithms. I'm pretty sure the algorithms hate us. But like and share. Don't forget to hit notification so that you get notified about any future things. You can follow us on Instagram. We have Facebook as well. And you can check out our web site at www.msmink.com, ink with a K. So msmink.com. And you can just find us for what we're doing there. Again, thank you, Ash, for coming. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great. You were awesome. And if I end up getting a tattoo by you, it's strictly for the podcast, Sierra. It's not because I'm trying to cheat on you. I don't know all the rules for tattoo artists. There are no rules. Are there no rules? There's rules. I know there's rules. Like artists not be touching other artists. Like they're like, I'm not touching another. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys around. You guys have a great day. We'll be boxing.